"You are not being served here today," the manager said loudly. And the room knew in that moment that something unforgivable had just been spoken. The words landed like a slap in the middle of a busy afternoon. Plates were still in hands. Drinks hovered near lips. Conversations stopped halfway through laughter. The restaurant, warm with light and smell of food, froze under the weight of one sentence spoken too clearly and too confidently. The manager stood behind the counter, shoulders squared, voice firm and public. He did not lower his tone. He did not look around to see who was listening. He wanted to be heard. Service was denied. The woman stood on the other side of the counter, still and composed, as if the air itself had decided to pause with her. She was black, neatly dressed, calm in a way that did not ask for approval. Her coat was simple. Her shoes were clean. Her posture carried the quiet weight of someone who had learned how to stand, alone without folding. Every eye in the room found her, and then, almost as quickly, most of them looked away. Silence spread, thick and uncomfortable. No one laughed now. No one spoke. A few people shifted in their seats, hoping the moment would pass without demanding anything of them. The manager crossed his arms, certain of his power, certain this scene would end the way it always did. He believed authority meant control. He believed his position protected him. The woman did not raise her voice. She did not ask for a reason. She did not step back. She took a slow breath and stayed. Exactly where she was. Her name was Lena Walker. She had learned restraint long before this moment. Not because she was weak, but because she understood the danger of reacting in spaces where judgment waited eagerly. Lena knew that silence, when chosen, could be sharper than words. She had not come to make a point. She had come for a simple meal between meetings. She had come believing, perhaps foolishly, that today would be ordinary, but injustice rarely asks for permission. The manager repeated himself. Slower now, as if patience itself were a gift he could withdraw, he gestured toward the door. His face carried the calm of someone who had never been challenged publicly. Lena nodded once. Acknowledging the sound of his words without accepting their meaning, she reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. Not with anger, not with threat, but with care. The screen stayed dark in her hand. She did not point it at anyone. She simply held it, steady and quiet. That small action unsettled the room. The manager frowned, irritation flickering across his face. He told her rules were rules. He said he was just doing his job. He said things people say when they believe responsibility ends at their name badge. Lena looked around the restaurant, taking in the faces, the stillness, the silence that pressed against her from every side. Then she spoke calmly, her voice even, her words simple. She said she understood, and then she walked to an empty table and sat down. The room inhaled sharply. She did not leave. She did not comply with the unspoken demand to disappear. She placed her bag beside the chair, rested her hands on the table, and waited. The manager stiffened. Control began to slip through his fingers. Though he did not yet understand why, Lena's thoughts drifted, not toward anger, but toward memory. She remembered her father standing in uniform when she was young. Boots by the door, hands rough but gentle. He had served for years, believing deeply in duty, in fairness, in doing the right thing even when no one watched. He taught her that dignity was not something given by others, but something guarded fiercely from within. She remembered the smell of oil and soap in their home, the sound of his quiet voice telling her that respect starts with how you treat people who cannot help you back. She remembered the day he did not come home. The call had been brief. The house had felt empty even while filled with people. The flag had been folded carefully and placed in her mother's hands. Lena learned that day how quickly life can demand strength you do not yet believe you have. She carried that lesson into adulthood. Lena studied systems. Not because she loved rules, but because she wanted to understand how power moved and where it broke. She learned about ethics, compliance, accountability. She learned that injustice survives best in silence and confusion. She learned how to listen. Back in the restaurant, the manager stepped closer to her table. His voice lowered now, edged with warning. He told her she needed to leave or security would be called. Lena looked up at him slowly. She told him he was free to do that. Her calm was unshakable. It did not beg. It did not threaten. It simply existed. The tension in the room grew heavier. A server stood nearby, frozen, eyes darting between them. A couple at a nearby table exchanged looks. Discomfort etched across their faces. Then something shifted. A woman near the window stood up, hands trembling slightly. Her voice was not loud, but it was clear. She said she had heard everything. She said it did not feel right. She said she would be willing to say so again if asked. The room stirred. Another person nodded. Then another. Someone murmured agreement. Silence cracked, not into chaos, but into awareness. The manager faltered. He tried to smooth the moment, his tone changing, his posture softening. He offered service now, suddenly polite, suddenly willing. Lena shook her head gently. She said thank you, but no. She stood, slowly, deliberately. The room watched as she walked back to the counter. She placed a small card on the surface between them. Her movement careful and precise, her name, her title, her department. The color drained from the manager's face in stages. Confidence gave way to confusion. Confusion gave way to fear. Lena worked for a regional oversight board that reviewed service practices, discrimination complaints, and company conduct. She was not there in an official role, but she did not need to be. Accountability does not require permission to arrive. She spoke one final sentence, quiet but firm. Respect does not ask to be earned. It is expected. She turned and walked out. Behind her, the restaurant remained silent, the weight of realization settling over every table. Later that day, emails were sent. Reports were filed. Statements were taken. Footage was reviewed, patterns emerged quickly. This had not been the first time. By the end of the week, the manager no longer held his position. His termination was swift and procedural. No drama, no excuses. Just consequences. His career ended not with shouting, but with documentation and truth. Lena returned to her life unchanged in posture, but strengthened in purpose. She did not share the story publicly. She did not seek praise. She understood that justice, when it works, does not need applause, but the people who witnessed it carried something with them. They remembered the woman who stood calmly while being denied. They remembered how silence almost protected the wrong thing. They remembered how dignity can shift a room without raising a voice. And some of them spoke sooner, the next time they saw something unjust. Because courage, once seen, rarely stays contained. Lena Walker did not change the world that day. She changed a moment, and sometimes that is enough. Respect is revealed in moments when no one thinks they are being watched. Silent strength has weight. Accountability always arrives, even when it walks in quietly. If this story stayed with you, share where you were watching from and what moment mattered most to you. Subscribe for more cinematic stories that honor dignity, courage, and the power of calm in a loud world.